Hi
Yes.
guys, welcome to our channel and thank you so much for being here and watching our next video with a great speaker. Today we have Lauren Solomon, who is the UX designer at PayPal and the founder of VoxPopin. And Lauren, we're extremely happy to see you here today. And maybe let's first start with just sharing more about who you are, what is your personality, and what your hobbies are.
Well, it's so nice to be here. I'm really, really excited about this. My personality, and I think that everyone would say it's a lot. It's a big personality. I've spent most of my life traveling and exploring and trying to learn new things and problem solving. That's kind of what led me to my field of work. The most interesting thing I think you could probably say about me is that I used to teach with the circus. I was a school teacher there, and the experiences that I had trying to teach while sharing a classroom with lions and clowns and at one point a pig it's given me a lot of practice in using my big personality to get into to not be intimidated in big rooms, I should say.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of fun things about me that I've had a very happy and fun life so far.
Teaching sounds so good. When I was a kid, my teacher told me that you can learn good, or like you can learn properly when you have a good teacher. So I bet there are so many students who thank you for good knowledge for everything that you shared with them.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I look back and I'm like, oh gosh, was I even a very good teacher? I taught with gusto. Whether I was teaching with effectiveness is yet to be determined. But I did teach with a lot of passion and a lot of love, and I still love a lot of my students.
Ah, that's very nice. Okay, well, what about your professional background? Because soon we're going to speak more about PayPal and VoxPopin, but how did you find yourself maybe moving from the teaching experience to other fields?
Well, I was with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, and we were traveling on the circus train through the United States, and we stopped at Washington, D.C. And I had this notebook that I would fill with ideas about apps I'd like to make and websites that could make a difference. And you name it, I had a solution for it, constantly problem solving. And I showed this to a clown, as one does. And he said, I actually pitched him the idea of VoxPopin. And he said, well, what are you going to do about it? And I said, oh, nothing. I already have a master's degree and I can't afford any more education, because here in America, it's like you have to give up some kidneys in order to afford any education. And I was like, no, I can't. I ran out of kidneys. I can't go into school and get any more education. And he told me, well, if you are not going to do anything with your ideas, you should stop having them. And it's nothing like the words of a clown to like really put you in your place. And so while I was in DC, I looked up boot camps for how to learn what I needed to learn to make these things happen. And that's when I stumbled upon General Assembly, which I highly recommend to anyone who's thinking about entering the field. It's a fabulous program. So when the circus closed, I moved to DC, started General Assembly, and my career had just soared after that. So I remember on my first day of work as a UX designer, in the office they had like a sign that said the idea factory or like something like that. And I just wept in the elevator because I just thought someone cares about my ideas. And I'm finally in the right place. Oh, I just can't tell you how relieving it was to be in the right place and know that you had found your people. And that's how I felt getting into this profession. It's amazing, and I highly recommend it to anyone.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
you said about ideas, so you like to generate ideas. Would you say that when you are on a team with people, so you would be the one who's generating, and then you would have those who would be executing your ideas? Is that like that?
Oh my goodness, I'd love to get to that point. At VoxPopin, I am the idea generator and the machine and the assembler and the one who's pitching, like, hey, don't you like this idea? No, I do have a great team though that's been helping me along the way. Um, but yeah, I'd like to get to the point where I can let it go. But for VoxPopin, for instance, I've designed every single page of it
Wow.
and did all the branding for it, but I think it comes with part of the job. When you're a UX designer, you think so large. How is this affecting uh, the users? How is this affecting the company? How is this affecting, A, B, and C? And you really work it out. It is a very well-rounded, full functioning position that we have to have, where we're taking designs and we're seeing the total breadth and impact of everything that we do. So I think it's really easy to get caught up in doing it all yourself sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Especially when you have the idea and that's it looks all perfect in your head, and then you have to transmit it to other people, which is hard. But
yes.
yeah, yeah, of course.
But with PayPal, for instance, though, they have a great team of researchers and UI designers, so it's much easier to
Mhm.
hand off ideas. But yeah, I can be better about that in my own team, I think.
Well, if we already started speaking about PayPal, maybe you can share a little bit more. How did you find working there? Because for me, PayPal, honestly, I heard first about this program, well, about this service when I was in the US, and I was like, how you can send money like this? And for me, that was so shocking. I was like 15 years old,
Yeah.
and now we don't have PayPal in Ukraine, and we still don't have it, and I miss it so much. So like this topic is a little bit close to me because like, oh, can we have PayPal in Ukraine? So how did you find yourself working for this company?
First off, I'll put in a good word for the Ukraine when I talk to the big boys. No, I never talked to the big boys. But if I did, I'm going to stand up for the Ukraine and be like, why are we leaving them out? That's ridiculous. I will. I'll make it my vendetta here, my
Okay.
perspective. Um, no, so I think my story with PayPal is going to be similar to a lot of people's stories. I was working at Marriott and loving it. I cannot say enough good things about Marriott. If you ever get a chance to work with them, do it. I worked in their global headquarters, and they had a daycare, and they had a whole room that was just for women who were pregnant, where they could go and take a nap and get a massage. And they had cafeterias, and I'd see people like potty training their kids in between meetings. Like, it was just
Wow.
wonderful company. I think that if you look at good company culture, they were fabulous. Anyway, loving that. But then the world shut down and the global pandemic happened, and they went from um, having booked out every day to no one's moving, no one's leaving their home, and it was something that was so different. And so my contract with them ended because of the pandemic. But luckily, someone from an overseas agency reached out to me and said, would you like to work for PayPal? Now, I thought it was a scam until literally like a week into me working with PayPal. I because I was like, sure, I'd like to work with PayPal. And they're like, okay, great. I'm like, yeah, any day now. And even as I was getting, paperwork in, and I still didn't believe that it was going to happen, because I love PayPal. I really have so many ideas, and outside of VoxPopin, that are focused on finance, and I think they're doing great things to help our nation through the pandemic. And and so when I actually did start, I was shocked. I was like, you all think I'm good enough? You think you wanted me on your team? Okay, I guess I'll do that for you. But yeah, in this field, especially as UX designers, you have to basically jump all the time. You're jumping from place to place. You have to be on your feet, you have to be nimble, and you have to be adaptable. And so even because you just never know when these kinds of things will fall into your lap.
Wow, wow, that sounds so interesting. I bet like I bet you have so many stories to share from like each day of working there. But yeah, well, working for companies like this, it gives you something, and it's not only about professional background, but something like being a part of the team and seeing so much from the insides. Wow.
Well, and I really lucked out because Marriott, like I said, has such a great company
Hmm.
culture. And then I went to PayPal, and they're constantly saying things like, "Do we need to take a wellness day? I think we do. Let's just everyone take off Friday. You don't push yourself too hard. Do we have too many meetings? I think we have too many meetings. Let's all try to cut back on our meetings." And I have a fabulous boss right now who's Canadian, and I just feel like everyone deserves a Canadian boss. Like they're just the best people in the whole world. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about PayPal as well.
Okay, maybe then one day for Ukraine, you might you might share some ideas.
I'm going to
Okay.
send it off. I'm going to let them know the people of the Ukraine are hungry. They are hungry for this. Give it
Yeah.
to them. Yeah,
That
I'll let
sounds
them know.
good.
Yes.
Well, PayPal, that's good. But I believe that it's going to be so interesting to learn more about VoxPopin because it seems to be like your kit because you input so much in that. With the ideas, like how, I don't know, like what first comes to your mind when people ask you, "Hey, can you share something about VoxPopin?" What is that you want to share?
Yeah, it basically is a social media app that's going to connect the people to those who can instrument change. So whether that is politicians or business leaders, and I'm really excited about it because social media is just, I don't know if I don't know if I'm allowed to use this word, but it's show, fill in the blank, because it's all about feeding the monster, right? Getting you more addicted, getting you purchasing things more, and it's not at all impacting change the way that it could. And so what Vox Poppin does is we're trying to harness the voices of the people and get those voices to those who can instrument real change and have real accountability behind it. So yeah, I'm super proud of what we've put together, and we're preparing to launch our alpha, and I'm just so excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I think that it can really be a catalyst for positive interactions in politics again. I really think that's the dream. That's the dream where the people can actually have a voice in politics again instead of us having to take to the streets to do it. I mean, I don't know if you're following what's happening in America or not, but it is I live in DC, so it's literally right outside of our front door, all of the chaos that's happening. So this is our attempt at trying to add some peace into the world.
Which is a hard thing to do, but of course so important, especially right now. I'm doing some classes online for the fact checking, and there are some cases, especially from the US, from the recent events, and I'm like following those news. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so hard to stop this social media from sharing the information, the misinformation, misleading information. But the idea is that we are the ones who are using this social media, so we are the ones who are sharing um, all of that information. So if
Yeah.
with your pitch about this Vox Poppin platform, I haven't like seen it yet. I don't know how exactly it's gonna work, but now it sounds so good because especially in the
Yeah.
pandemic times when we can't connect offline, online needs to be more protected. Yeah.
Well, and what we're trying to do is you're totally correct. The amount of misinformation that's heading towards people is confusing, and it's causing dangerous divisions between people, especially how they do algorithms, how they intentionally are keeping people apart. And what we're trying to do is flip that on its head and give the voice of the people to the politicians. I think that they've done it. They've talked to us plenty. It's time for them to listen, and our algorithms are especially done to allow people who might not necessarily agree to be able to interact a little bit more instead of keeping everyone apart. So I'm really excited about it. Hopefully, in like a few years time, we'll meet up again, and you'll say, "Remember when I interviewed you and no one knew what VoxPopin was, and now it's the reason we have world peace."
Oh, that would be
I,
so good.
I, it probably won't happen that way, but it would be great if that was at
But
least
fingers crossed.
provided peace, or yeah, even if it just provided a little bit more peace than what we have, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, it's all the time, when when you want to achieve something, we still need to enjoy the process. And it seems like you are enjoying the process of this creation with your team, and that's the most important thing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just have my team is all women as well, and
Woohoo.
that has been so wonderful. I can't tell you how many of my interns have told me, "Thank you for bringing me on, and thank you for giving me legitimate work." One of my interns said she tried to, get with another company, and they said, "Oh, well, since we're remote, we don't have any coffees for you to get for us, so we don't have anything for you to do." And she was really worried that she wouldn't be able to find any sort of internship. So I love that I just keep collecting these wonderful, miraculously intelligent, powerful women who would have been underestimated in any place else. I'm like, yes, come to Vox
Oh gosh,
Poppin.
I'm getting the
Yes,
goosebumps.
we shall take you all. Yeah, my co-founder is often like, "Don't we need more men?" I'm like, "But the men aren't the ones having the trouble finding work. Come on, like we need the powerful ladies. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll get men eventually." But yeah, I'm all about empowering women who might not have the chance otherwise. So
That's so amazing. I'm just recollected. I'm reading the book by Naomi Wolf. She has the book called Myth About Beautiness. Well, the idea is how it's hard for women when they are considered to be too old or not that beautiful to find the job, and that becomes so bad. And mostly what I'm sad about is that all the statistics in this book is mostly about the U.S. Society, and which is sad because at the same time you want to see this like more opportunities. That's what we think when we think about the US. So maybe that's going to be changing, and especially with the platforms, with the projects that you create, and you like collect all of these beautiful talented women. That's a great thing.
oh, I'm so excited about it. I'm
Yeah,
really so excited about it. And it's amazing the power a woman can have when you get out of her way and let her work.
yeah, that's it.
It is the stuff that I've talked to some of my interns before and been like, "So what have you been up to this week?" "Oh, well, I just put together this promo video in case you asked for it." I'm like, in case I asked for it, this is beautiful. They just let them work. Just let them be. Let them show you what they can do, and you will be impressed. I can't say every single time. Of course, there's the outliers, and then everyone says, "Well, that one lady." But just let them work. Let them be in a space where they can grow and thrive. Even that one lady, let her work. Let's see what she can do. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's a soapbox that I will die standing on.
That's
Like,
amazing. That's
but
what the power of sharing ideas actually can motivate other people to create or to come up with ideas. So thank you for being so enthusiastic.
yes, well, and it's when I told you the Idea Factory, like why I cried when people would listen to me. So much of that was because I was um, raised in an environment where women weren't asked for ideas, weren't asked for solutions, and I luckily had a very powerful family. My family was always like, "You can do it, you can do whatever you want, you can build whatever you want." But those outside influences really had an impact on me. And so I really don't want any other woman to ever feel that way. I want her to feel like her ideas are so valid, and it has nothing to do with her gender, right? Just say what your ideas are. Your brain is a powerful thing. Just give it to me. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want to do. I'm sorry. I will
That,
cut
that's
myself
that's
off. I
that's
keep
amazing.
going.
That's amazing, Lauren. Okay,
Whew.
okay, cool. Well, with your experience in the UX field,
Yes.
because I've heard it, like this phrase that the harder the thing, or like the more complex the thing is, the like try to explain that to someone in the easiest way possible, so that the most important idea comes to the person. So if you were asked to explain what UX design is, how would you formulate that?
Well, I would say that UX design is anything that you interact with. And so a lot of people will say, oh, well, do you do logos? Do you do graphics? I'm like, no, you're not interacting with that, are you? If you're interacting with an app, if you're interacting with a website, any sort of, screen, and you're interacting with it, that is UX design. And it's the most simple way I can explain it to people.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I
Yeah,
understand. I understand what UX design is.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. And if you had to also explain the UX design in terms of its involvement in social media, you've worked especially with social media, right? So how?
Yes.
Yeah, share about that.
So the UX design in social media has, and I can't speak for the entire industry, obviously, but I have seen that the UX is really meant currently to keep people on the app, to keep people addicted, to keep people interacting with advertisements. And UX design is something that you need to practice with some sort of honor system because it's very easy when we start to learn things, we start using these strategies to keep people invested, to keep people looking, to track where their eye movements are, where are they on the page. You can really use that for the detriment of the user and for the betterment of the company. And so I feel like social media, especially, that can be true in some instances. And so what we're trying to do at VoxPopin is we really took apart every single feature of social media and said, is this how this is done? Is it benefiting the user? And if it wasn't, we got rid of it. So for instance, we saw that a lot of, we redid how we do commenting because there was so much hate and bullying and just floods of these trolls, which is a horrible word. They should be, there's something much more vile. Because trolls, like, trolls are kind of cute and they're in Norway or whatever. But no, like these really horrible people are posting awful things, and it's very much so affecting people's mental health. And so we've got rid of how we do commenting. We've gotten rid of that, and we have what we call swapping ideas, where you have to do a video form of commenting, where and then you send that off to the user, and then they can approve it or they can reject it. And so we're, one, teaching people to put their face behind what they're saying, and two, we're trying to teach something called consent. Like, you have to have the person approve or disapprove of it before you can interact with them, which is wonderful. We really rethought all of this, right? We rethought, how are people interacting with each other? Um, how are they learning about each other as well? We look at the algorithms and how they're keeping people apart, keeping people feeling into their own confirmation biases. So they say, oh, everyone believes what I believe because that's all they're being seen. And so they get deeper and deeper and deeper into they're wrong and we're right. So for our algorithm, we're trying to get people who disagree about 20% of the time to see each other. We're not talking about extremes here. We don't want a bloodbath, but just this little middle ground, right? For example, that you could have a mother who is very religious, but also has an LGBT child and thinks, why does the party that I am a part of feel the need to say bad things about LGBT people? My daughter is wonderful, but I still want to protect religious rights. There's all of these complexities about people, and they want us to believe that we fit into two categories, and that's just not the case. So we really want to highlight this middle ground that people can have and rebuild it again, because social media has completely demolished it.
About this new format of commenting, that's something so like crazy. I mean, in terms, I've never thought about that, but honestly, when you do something anonymously, it kind of like gets some part of responsibility from you because no one is going to see you. But when you, like, in this way, like showing your face, it makes you more responsible for what you say and how you say. Wow, that's so interesting. And I believe the amount of comments is also gonna decrease because not everyone would like to post a video. So you also um, kind of like regulate the number of those comments online. And that's
Absolutely. Everything we did, we just thought, what is the best for the mental health of our user? And I don't know if anyone's thinking about that, but we really try. And I tell my interns, I've told everyone, you must always think about the mental health of our user first. That is absolute top priority at all times. And so we've really approached the UX design for that, with that one main goal of making it a healthy experience.
But before you came up with this idea of having the videos by posting and then like checking whether they are accepted or not, what other ideas were? Because did you have any other ideas for making those commentings better?
Oh, yes, honey.
Lots of them.
Yes. What an excellent question. Let me pull out my binder. Um,
And it's gonna be like a huge suitcase of books.
and there's a mood board, and there's, oh, yeah. Well, we make it sound really simple, right? Because that's what design is. This is the problem. This is the solution. And we just came up with it magically. A lot of it was seeing what other social media platforms are trying to do with their commenting, right? There's a lot of where we really thought that the more likes that something got should be higher, and the ones that, dislike would be lower, kind of like Reddit. We explored that option. We've explored only people that you're friends with can comment. We've explored all sorts of different things. But at the end of the day, but the thing I just kept coming to is that it's easier to post hateful things when your face is not on it. And we have this society where that's now perfectly acceptable. And I felt almost like a mom when I'm not a mother, but I did feel like a mom when I was designing this. And I thought, or even like a teacher, like, no, I'm sorry, you've lost your commenting rights. You have not been nice. You have not been nice. You're not going to be commenting for a
Think
little
about
bit.
your behavior.
Yeah, you need to think about what you say to people, especially because this is an app that can be heavily focused in politics. I don't want to say it's only focused on politics. It's not the case. It could be business leaders. It could be other people too. But because there is going to be a heavy political influence in the app, this could have easily turned into a bloodbath. And I don't want that. I do not want that. I want people to be able to talk about these things in a healthy way. That is my top priority. So, and also because we as a society have this issue about consenting to an experience, right? I wanted them to have an option to approve or disapprove someone's idea, or when they send them a video and say, oh, this is what I think about what you just said. I wanted them to be able to have that buffer, because part of the trauma I think about social media right now is that you can say you're a 16-year-old girl, you can post something, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and the world has discussed what you said, and everyone has posted, they could be posting very mean, horrible things about you, and that everyone has seen it. And that's part of the trauma, right? Is not feeling like you have any say in that. And now your words have been taken from you and been mulled over, and you've been spit out alive. That's what I wanted to avoid. And so we have this, I call it swapping of ideas, because people can go back and forth once it's been approved, and they can discuss these ideas. And then afterwards, you rate people on 3 very basic things. Was there hate speech? Was there personal attacks? Was there any threats made? That's the only thing you review the person on. So even when a swap request comes in, you can see their percentage of how often they break those 3 rules. And it is very, very simple. Don't do those 3 things. Don't use hate speech. Don't call anybody those kinds of names. No one needs that. Don't attack a person. Don't threaten a person. That's it. That's all we require at VoxPopin. Just don't do those 3 things. So yeah, the teacher and me did step in, and I was like, we're done. We're done with that. No. No. When you
That's a
lose,
great
you've
approach.
lost the privilege. No.
But
If you
that's
want
a,
to make mean comments, go somewhere else.
yeah. You know what? I'm like listening to you, and it fascinates me because I thought that we would be speaking about UX design in terms of where it should be, like this design is better, that design is better, this journey is nice, this journey is good. But now what I'm listening to is like a lot deeper things that you have to think about. And we even took the topic of mental health. I don't know if lots of people think about UX design and mental health being connected, but it is. And I just recollect my friend, she's the blogger on YouTube, and I could never understand what it means to be hated but online. And when I could see her reading the commentings and like she would be crying, I was, what's happening? And it really affects people very hard. And then what she told me is that sometimes she would be receiving good comments, sometimes she would be receiving very bad comments. And so in order to save herself from those emotional bad states, she decided to not pay attention to any of them, which is also not a good solution, right? Because you want to receive some support from
Right.
people. But that's when it comes to having this good environment on social media and understanding how UX design can be the tool for you to create this environment. And what you're saying sounds so cool. Like I see this, your brains on your team working on accepting, is this good, is this bad? And you have also the psychological team, right? Because like when you have to understand what motivates people to write this or that thing, you have to analyze it deeply.
Absolutely. And when it comes to giving good feedback, that's really part of the heart of what VoxPopin is. So how we separate commenting or videos or posts out is by geographical location. So you can say, for instance, we need a stoplight here in front of this school. My kids are trying to cross the street every day, and it's like they're trying to dodge cars and people are going too fast, whatever it is. You can make a video about that and post it to your local mayor. And everyone who is in your area that also is being represented by that local mayor has the option to vote up and down on it. If it reaches over 20% of active users, then it actually gets posted to the profile of your mayor, and she can respond accordingly. And this process of letting people in your area know about something and then actually getting it to the person who can make a change, this is where I see the political side of this really thriving. Because like what your friend says, you receive so much hate that you don't actually read anything. I look at these politicians profiles and their comments. It is pure hate. There is so much hate that they aren't listening to the voice of the people anymore, because I would imagine a lot of them aren't even people that would be in their voting districts. It's just so much hate. So what we're trying to do, and really, is just to pull out the best, to pull out the commentings that actually do represent the voice of the people, and then hold the politicians accountable for responding to the people. And this is something that has never happened before in social media, where they're saying the collective voice feels this way. How can you respond to them? And and our users would be able to see if these politicians are not responding, and that also gives them an indication, like, hey, do we really want to continue to vote for someone who doesn't respond to the people? So we're just trying to single-handedly save democracy. That's all we're trying to do here at VoxPopin.
Just easy tasks on our daily agenda. But you know what I hear? What I hear from this speech is also you not only creating this space for communication, but you also give the feeling to people that what they do is has some impact on the bigger layers. And that's what I heard today, that why people believe so much in different theories, like these conspiracy theories. And one big explanation is that when you can't impact your life, when you can't impact what's going on around, you basically start thinking that it's not you who takes responsibility, but something or someone else out there. So the first thing to give, like to eliminate these fake ideas in the world, is to give the power to people. And what I hear from your platform, that's something that's gonna happen. Amazing.
Absolutely. Well, it all started because I had gone through something myself rather unimaginable, something that you really hope would never happen to you in your life. And I went from this beautiful, thriving individual to completely self-destructive because I felt I had lost my power. Power was gone, and I didn't know what to do except to destroy, because I didn't know what to do. When I finally realized I needed to reharness my power, reharness my creative control, that's when VoxPopin came about. I kept thinking, the problem is that I've lost control. I've lost control. It would just keep going in my head. I've lost control. I've lost control. And then I thought, I just need to come up with a solution where I regain control, where I regain my voice, where I regain my power. And that's when I came up with VoxPopin. And so when I saw what was happening in my country, and I saw the destruction that we were doing to ourselves, and the violence and the hate, I recognized that. It was so crystal clear to me. This is a symptom of feeling powerless. I know that problem. I know the solution. I know it. What we need is to give the voice back to the people. We need to stop this flood of stuff on top of the people. Let the people speak. And they don't feel like they can, so they take to the streets. And it is the year, what year is it? 2021?
It is.
I live in the future, sweetheart. It's already 2040 for me. No, but we need to have a better solution than having to take to the streets to get the attention of our politicians. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I know the problem. I found the solution. I want to give this to the people. And I think we could really have more peaceful, productive conversations.
But how amazing it is that sometimes we fall under some bad conditions, and at the same time, the beauty of this is that this bad thing brings you ideas on how you can solve it, and then you can share this idea with the rest of the world. And that's the beauty even of bad experiences.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the comedian who did the Hannah the comedy show on Netflix, but she said there is nothing more powerful than a woman who was broken who rebuilt herself.
Oh yeah.
Honey, I turn trauma into commas every day. Every day we're adding those commas. No, we're not yet, but in the year 2040 I have. No, but that's really, again, the power of a woman, right? Let her do her work. And that's what I've learned from this experience is you have to take the things that have hurt you and use it against them. Use that power and build it for yourself. Anyway, that's a whole conversation I can have another time, but
that's an inspirational speech, and that's amazing.
It's something I know all of us girls can relate to in some degree.
Yeah, we can. Well, okay. If let's maybe give some recommendations, especially if I understand that correctly. So VoxPopin is, startup, right? So you are in this process of building yourself. So what could you recommend to other startups who are concerned about their UX design? What should they do to make sure that their UX design is good?
Oh yes, what a fabulous question. First off, I think when I recently just got done with an accelerator for Microsoft for startups that was specifically for female founders. The Female Founder School and them teamed up and put it on. And this was the very first time they had done this accelerator for female founders. And I got in and I was so pleased. And I can't say enough good things about it. But what I saw consistently through the different other startups or the other startup founders is that they had these great ideas and they didn't know how to execute them. So I recommend to everyone who is brand new, starting out, who's in the startups, learn Figma. It's very easy. It's very user-friendly. And there's also a website called Envato, E-N-V-A-T-O, and you can download templates to put into Figma, and then you can change it according to what you're wanting to do. I recommend those two things first and foremost, because I think that there's a lot of startups who have UX design ideas and they don't know how to execute them. So those are the first two things that I highly recommend to everyone. And then second is to have your grandma or your mom try to interact with your designs or try to explain it to your grandma. Oh, the grandma test works every time. Yes, I try to get them to work within your design or to have them explain back to you what you have said or what you've shown. Everyone will say, oh yeah, oh yeah, I get it. I get it. Oh, what a good idea. Lauren, you're so smart. You're just so cool. And then you say, okay, well, what did I just say? Well, you are going places, like they have no idea what you've just said or explained or designed out. So those are my three top, things. Figure out Figma out Envato, and then tell your grandma or any old person. They're great.
That sounds so amazing. And I just recollected how
Yes.
my grandma, she always asks me, what do you do in this on this laptop? Because she used to work at factory, that's work. What I do online is like, it's not working. So she asked me, what do you do on this laptop? And I explained, and she's like, okay, and she didn't get it. So I thought, how do I explain that? And I told her, grandma, you know how you go to the garden and then you like start digging the holes to plant the flowers? And she's like, yeah. So that's kind of the same to what I do, but online. So I started building these links and she got it. So your advice on
Wow.
finding the way to explain that to older people is a great thing.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's what's fascinating about UX design in general is that when I was in school, this did not exist. This field is so brand new. We are so new to this. And it's funny because you don't think you are at the beginning of something. Like, I'm sure the people in the gold rush didn't think they were in the gold rush, or the industrial revolutions didn't realize that. And we really have an opportunity to define what it is to be a UX designer. And so do it well and do it nice and do it with old people in mind too. They're people too. They are users too.
Of course they are. Oh,
Yes.
that's so good. Well, okay, and maybe we always ask for some good recommendations for books because we all spend so much time online, but sometimes, it's good to take a book and just to relax. So what could you recommend? Or maybe there's something you are reading right now and you can share with our audience.
Yeah. Honey, I have a library in my bathtub.
Another suitcase?
All of my books are covered in water, but it's because every single night, like, that's how I have to relax. But I'm also scared of relaxing without reading a business book of some sort. So yeah, I'm always afraid that if I stop reading, then I will stop learning and then I'll stop being, productive. So there's some that I would highly recommend. The Innovation Stack. Yes, yes, yes. Fabulous book. Let me see what the Innovation Stack. It is written by Jim somebody. Jim McKelvey.
Okay, I just found it. Okay.
He is the he's just the CEO founder, or the former CEO and founder, I believe, of Square, the little Square thing that you slide your little thing through. And it's great for me. I needed permission from him he basically is saying, take what people have done before, and that could be your base. You don't have to re-innovate everything, but you can change one thing. And then after you've changed that one thing, think what else needs to be changed, if anything needs to be changed. And then that's the next step of your innovation stack. So it was really helpful because when I first started out on this journey of redoing and reimagining social media, I was like, oh no, I have to redo everything. And he was great at, like, give yourself a baseline and then stack it up. And then the second book I also highly recommend is How I Built This with Guy Raz.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so good. I read it in 2 days. I just was like flipping through every page. Like, what is it? What is this? I am such a fan of learning from other people's mistakes. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love talking to people who've made a lot of mistakes. I'm like, yes, give me all that knowledge. I don't want to ever make the same mistake you did. And so it's great. It's a wonderful book that I highly recommend to anyone who one wants to get into startups. And then also for the innovation stack is more for UX design, I think. Even though it's not specifically meant for UX designers, I think the innovation stack idea is always good for us because we typically jump into a new design and then want to redo everything just to be different.
Wow, thank you so much. I believe that
Yeah.
as soon as I finish this book, I'm gonna start with with the books that you have recommended.
Oh, they're both delicious.
They're both delicious. But I sometimes also try not to read something only business related, but something more like life concerned, life related, because sometimes when you get too much into business books, you just start being too motivated and too energetic, and still you need to take some
Yes.
pause for yourself as well.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah, I've forced myself to listen to some fiction books recently. I listened to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And as I was like walking through the forest, there's like a park nearby. I was walking through the forest and I was finishing that book. And I just thought, I've done everything wrong. I shouldn't be in business. I should be I should be a Gothic writer. And I and I got my master's in creative writing. So I mean it's a
Wow.
legitimate thing to think. But I just was like, no, I must give up business and become a writer. And that lasted for about 3 seconds. And I was like, nah, I think I'll probably stick to what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
it is good to step away from it for a little bit.
But that would be so nice to have some book written by you in the future. So maybe, yeah, don't quit this idea. You know, everything can happen.
I've done a lot in the year 2040. I've written books and I've made my billions and just wait. You and me the next time we speak. That'll be
Sounds
where I'm
good.
at.
Sounds like a plan. Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Lauren, thank you so much. This was honestly, I was expecting that to be like, okay, let's talk about UX design, but this turned to be such an inspirational conversation. Thank you so much for being so open. And I'm from now, I'm gonna. Where can I learn more from about VoxPopin? So LinkedIn, okay. Where else? Is there any other?
Yeah, we have a website called voxpopin.com.
Okay, yeah.
And you can always email me at lauren@voxpopin.com. And it's VoxPopin, VoxPopin.
Okay.
And we're always so happy. I'm always so happy to talk to people. Like, just let me talk to you. You want to give me some money? I will talk to you all day. You want to tour through the thing? I will show it to you. You want to see the prototype? Yes. My branding on point. I will talk to anybody about this. So thank you. So VoxPopin is also looking for social media influencers to join our alpha. And so if you are at all savvy on social media and feel like you want to have some sort of voice on our platform, please let me know. It's lauren@voxpopin.com.